Hi, good evening. It's Jen Healy. I'm going to share with you before it gets too late here my experience with Tony Robbins and the Date with Destiny 2018. It's about 1 o'clock in the morning, and I just got back to my Airbnb. And while it's still fresh for day one, as promised, I wanted to share my experience with you and take you along on the journey. And as some of you might know, that are familiar with my personal practice and my healing work, I've been on this journey for about 20 years of dedicating my life to the healing arts and the spiritual path and personal development and awakening, all that good stuff. And for the past 15 years, I've been very actively studying Tony Robbins' work. But it's only in the last year that I've actually allowed myself to invest in his training and seminars and conferences, because I, like many people, had excuses that were in the way, whether that be time or money or just feeling like I had the resourcefulness to make the commitment and show up for a week to do these deep dives. And so I just want to share with you my experience and what I'm getting from it. And there's so much that went on this first day. We were there for about 12, 13 hours. So I'm just going to give you some snippets and look at my notes because there were so many nuggets. So I'll do like a 1-minute clip each day, and then I'm going to do a longer 15 minutes just deep diving into these practices and just sharing with you what I learned and what I gained. So Tony had, for the first part of the day, couples stand up and share what they were experiencing in their own lives, what brought them there, what do they want, and then, of course, diving into their relationship. And relationships are such a big deal. They mold our entire existence. Every single interaction that we have is our relationship. It's not just a significant other, which most people are seeking or at least wanting to improve. But it really is about how we are interacting with one another. What are the most important qualities and aspects that we're bringing to every relationship we come in contact with? And this is a really big deal for me. I'm always wanting to improve the quality of my life and the quality of my interactions through every relationship, whether it be business or personal, a friendship or significant other, romantic, that kind of deal. And so the main takeaway for me today, which was just a great reinforcement, is that praise works so much better than criticism. We tend to get very judgmental and critical of both ourselves and others in our relationships and withhold or withdraw. This was my little nugget that I shared earlier. But it just doesn't work. And these are usually learned behaviors, typically from a parent growing up, that there was an overlay of either withholding or control or criticism. I know for me, that's how I was raised. And it just didn't feel good, and it just didn't work. I didn't get the love I needed, and I also wasn't responding well to that kind of treatment. And so doing that in adulthood, doing something that didn't work in our childhood, just doesn't make any sense. So we have to consciously choose to give what we want to receive, the love and the affection and the appreciation. Particularly affection, I noticed with this couple that he used as an example of the teachings. That's like everybody is seeking the same love and connection, and simply hugging each other and touching each other and coming into contact while having a conversation or communicating makes all the difference in the world, because it sets up a bond and a cycle of intimacy that allows us to communicate from the heart instead of the head. And that is a major takeaway, is like when we're speaking from our head, we're usually repeating patterns that weren't that effective in our past and that we didn't like. And when we start to drop down to our heart, we can really start to feel one another. And that cycle or circle of connection is palpable and present. And the heart is the place that we do extend our soul essence and our love from. So it always feels so much better to have a heart-centric connection and moving and feeling from that place. Of course, we can still think and respond, but it comes from a place of appreciation and affirmation and requesting, reinforcing, and affirming what it is we want, which is a whole practice that goes along with compassionate communication. So it's such a great reminder to move from that place, because I know that I get contracted and can be critical both to myself and others when I'm feeling unsafe or when I'm feeling lack, a loss of love. So I'm making a commitment to show up more in a place of giving what it is that I want to receive instead of practicing the things that don't work. So I really appreciate getting that reminder, because we've all done it. We've all resorted back to withholding or withdrawing or moving away from instead of toward the love that we want, the love and connection. They're kind of grouped together. And he goes over a lot like the 6 basic needs of every human. And so I'm not going to go over that as much, but that's a Tony Robbins technique that I encourage you guys to review. And I'm just going to go on here what I personally learned from my day, and also share with you what were the most significant pieces, those nuggets that I was talking about. So I'm making this commitment to praise more. And when we're in a state of affirming or appreciation, it already sets us up to awaken the heart space and get out of the critical mind. And then that allows us to see more possibilities and be more solution oriented. So he talks a lot about how do we create patterns and where do patterns come from. And his big share is about making decisions. And I'm all about it. I love Tony and his teachings for so many reasons. I'm really big on language and the importance of using constructive language. And most of us are so busy talking about what we don't want and focusing on the problem that all of our energy is being consumed by the disempowering thoughts. And there really is a different quality in our thoughts and in our feelings, and therefore in our actions, when we move to focusing on what we do want and what we can do and what we do have. And it's a simple shift in perspective that can make a huge difference in the quality of our lives. And this goes, I've been doing empowerment coaching and transformational training and launching different courses since 2009. So I've been really active in creating tools for my clients and friends, and anyone who's willing to listen along the way, about the importance of what we think, how it affects our emotions, and therefore how it impacts our choices, therefore our actions. So he went into the 3 decisions that shape your life. And I really love this practice. So it's, what are you focusing on? What meaning are you applying to that? And then what are you going to do? So this is the process. This is how it creates our state and how we can change our state. Our state is kind of like our mindset or the way that we're thinking. So when we change our state, then we can reshape our life and start focusing on improving the quality of our life. And so what we started with is, why did people come to Date with Destiny? Why are they taking 6 days out of their lives and devoting it, investing in themselves? And what is it that each person truly wants? And it's an important question, because a lot of times most people will have like the blanket statements of like, I want to be happy, or I want to be successful, and that kind of thing. And then the question is, why do we want these things? What do we think that we will gain when we have more happiness or more money or more success? And I think it's important for us to realize that underneath all that, we all have the same basic needs for love and connection, for certainty, for variety, for us to be significant, and then to contribute and to grow. So even when and I experience this with my clients as well, as I know people personally experience this, but even when people do gain the money or do have the perfect partner or job or children or all of those things, then there can still be a sense of unfulfillment. So we do want to remember that the joy of life is in giving back, and that when we're growing and then there's progress, that life is so much richer and more fulfilling. So what we focus on creates our emotions. It creates a feeling. It creates that state. So when we're focusing on what we don't have, and when we're focusing on the negative, it actually depletes our system. It sets up an emotional relationship. I call it the emotional guidance system, pulling from the Abraham teachings. So it leaves us in a place of lack or limitation. So when we change our focus and really harness the power of our energy, like where our attention goes, energy flows, is one of my favorite statements that is just universal law. It comes from physics. So when we change where we're putting our attention, then we can gain more energy. And that's really important for defining our lives and being able to take back the reins of the most important commodity we have, which is our energy and attention. So from there, when we assign meaning to things, that is us telling a story. And whatever story we tell ourselves, we assign meaning to things by our belief systems, our habits, and our patterns. And this is something we can actually change. We can change the meaning we're applying to something. And then we can change our story about it. Because what the story we're telling is usually based on a learned behavior or a learned habit and pattern. And then when we change those, we wind up actually being able to change our reaction to things. We might not be able to change the external situation, which most people are spending a whole lot of their time and energy trying to control external situations, like getting people to do what they want others to do. I know I am definitely at fault for that one. But really what we can change is our response to it, right? So what we want to do is take the time to manage our feelings by understanding what thoughts we're thinking and change our thoughts, applying different meanings to things. Like we can say something like, and feel that victim role of like, why does this always happen to me? I'm repeating the same pattern, and we can get into that kind of critic negative story. Or we can change it to what Tony says quite often, that like everything is working for us. Life is working for us. These things are here to help us learn and grow and to teach us, and that there's a gift in it. And if we truly believe that there's a gift in every problem, we're going to approach it way different. So this is pretty huge, especially if we can, on a day-to-day basis, change the way that we're approaching and seeing a situation, that this is a benefit, that this is a gift, that it is here to serve us. And then we change our physiology, and this is really important. This is why I'm so into the movement practice and create these conscious movement and therapy programs, is that we really do need to change the physical body. And we can do that through exercise, we can do that through sound, we can do that through yelling or crying, but we have to get the energy moving, because motion is emotion. Okay, so we want to change our physiology, and so we want to interact with the senses. So whether it be kinesthetic or emotional or auditory, like we have all these different ways in which we can change our physiology. And so if you want to change your state, you can go to any one of these. Change what you're focusing on, change the meaning, change the story, and change your physiology. Move your body. So I want to limit these to about 15 minutes each day, so that I can hold your attention and bring you with me. And there was so much more we went into this whole process of releasing blame and creating forgiveness. And I'll talk a little bit more about that, because that was just like a big pow, a big wow. And there's 6 more days, so I'll share a little nugget each day, a little 60-second clip, so I can post that on Instagram and Facebook, and then look in the comments for those little clips for this longer introduction and share. And I hope that you got something beautiful from this experience, and I'm so grateful to bring you along. If you'd like to know more about my practices, you can go to transformationaltraining.online or zenhealing.com, ZenHealyng. It's a Y, not a I in healing. And I appreciate you so much. Namaste.